studio today. I've got my friend and fellow coach, Doobee. Yay, Doobee!
Hello, hello, hello.
Thank you so much for coming on. My goodness, this is the first time I get to see you on video. Very exciting.
Nice, nice.
Because I
I'm
met you,
excited myself. I'm excited.
yay, I met you on Noom Vibe, which is an audio app. So
Yes, yes,
it's really
yes.
exciting. So, can you,
Everything happens for a reason.
yes. And I am so grateful to have met you. You have impacted my life in such positive and wonderful ways.
Thank you.
And it's been wonderful getting to know you. I think it's been 2 years, 3 years. I don't even know.
It's been about 3 years now. Yeah, that's been a while. Time is
Yeah,
going by fast. It
it
really is.
does. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, sure. I am
Doobie.
Doobie. That's right. I am Doobie. I am one that is driven by the energy of the universe. And I have myself felt so good in that energy with raising the three children that I have. I have three kids, and they're all grown, and they have witnessed me live the real life that I am chosen to live, that I've understood that I am supposed to live. And so for me, it's such a beautiful thing. I am a motivational speaker, a life coach. I have my hands in many things, an herbalist. I was once a personal trainer. I wear many hats, so I don't limit myself to just one thing because I feel we all have multiple purposes of why we are here, and so I'm just here to raise awareness. I'm Doobie, and
I
I
love
really
that.
appreciate you for having me here with you today, Stephanie. I really do.
Thank you. I love that because I think sometimes we get so caught up in we have to be labeled.
Yes.
I'm this, and I find it hard. I don't know about you, when you're on a podcast and stuff and they ask you to fill out the form. Who are you? What do you do? What's your bio? Put it in 150 characters or less. What? How do you explain who we are as people, right? We're so many things.
Yes. I've come to really understand that. I come to the understanding that we are everything, right? We are everything. So with having that understanding, I feel that we should allow ourselves the opportunity to feel the wholeness of that, you see. And so once we're able to feel that wholeness, that's what living real life is all about. It really is.
How do you feel that? How did you start to feel your wholeness? Like it's been a
Well,
process, I imagine.
yes, it is. And I speak broadly about that, but it is a process. It is what my persona is all about, the journey back to self. And that's what I am always here to raise awareness about. Wherever I go, wherever I speak, it's always about raising awareness about that journey back to self. And so when I say that, it is a process. And so it starts with you having an understanding of what balancing the critical parts of your living as a being should be about. And that is having your body physically taken care of, having your mind strengthened, which again, those balancing out will strengthen the soul. And so, therefore, you have your balancing triangle there, right? And so, when you can balance those out, that allows you to live a whole life. It allows you to chase that whole life. But we have to get an understanding of who we are. And so, therefore, we have to start eating properly, and again taking care of the body, right? And gathering information from your family. Many of us, and this is the thing I really don't talk about, but I'll have the opportunity here to say this. The beginning process starts with right now at this moment. A lot of people try to go back to the beginning to find out who they are, and that's where they miss the steps. You have to start at this moment and go backwards. And as you go backwards, you start gathering a lot of those things that you overlooked, and it strengthens you, and it strengthens your moments as you go backwards. But somehow you in your moments you're going forward, you're getting strengthened at the same time.
Wow.
That in itself allowed me to really say that I am a teacher and a student at the same time as well. So that's the
Yeah.
perspective and persona I come from.
So when you say it starts with here
Hmm.
and then we go backwards,
Yes.
how I'm hearing that is, um, like it always comes down to the awareness, know thyself, and that means also understanding your background.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly it. That's
I
exactly.
completely know what you're talking about because I have heard people say, and I know, I mean, I guess for people it's different. I don't know, but
Mhm.
some people say, don't look back, only look forward. And I understand what they're saying in the sense of don't stay in the past. But just because you're looking backwards doesn't mean you're staying there. For me, I had to know what was going on from my past so I could understand where I was now so I could make new choices for a different future.
That's true. That's well said. I mean, that's exactly it. You have to. It's not that you're living in the past. Many people are living in the past. They are, and that is the problem. But the thing is, when you are going backwards, you are learning and observing things that you have overlooked on your journey to your current moment. And so at your current moment, you feel a certain way. If you can be judgmental of yourself at this moment, you have observation of yourself, right? And you can describe how you feel. You can describe where you are or where you feel you should have been at this point in your life. You have an observation of that. But the thing is, if you do not have this real attachment to yourself, it's only going to be an illusion at this moment. Your moments are only an illusion. That's what they are. And I really I speak that from my heart because I've learned on my journey that many of us have been convinced to live off of dreams. And for me, just my perspective, I feel that dreams are just those experiences that we've experienced and we are dressing them up. You feel me? We've been through those things, but we are disguising them in a certain kind of way. Now, if you have an imagination, right? The imagination allows you to live in this moment. That's for real. That's something that has to be created. You have to take those steps to create that imagination, to at least bring that imagination to reality. Now, a dream, you've already lived it. That's why I always say that dreams are like broken promises. It's like making promises. They're meant to be broken. They're false. They're not real. But that's just my perspective on that. And that's what I've learned on going back on my journey. You see, and when you go back on that journey, you will be surprised at where you wind up and at this point, right? And once you get to a certain point, you're going to be like, oh, wow. And it's going to take you farther back. And it's going to strengthen you in your present moment because you're going to have a real understanding of who you are. And you're going to gather a better understanding of why you're supposed to be here. It's beautiful. Just like we're having this dialogue here. I mean, it strengthens us. I listen to you. As I mentioned, I'm a teacher and a student at the same time. We all are, you as well. And so when we have dialogue like this, it is so powerful. It's so powerful for us to have this type of dialogue. It really is.
It is. It's in those talking with, listening to, having these conversations, and just learning from others that your world opens up. Like I told you, I lived in Toronto for 10 years, and it was being outside of my hometown in a place where there's many people from all over the world. I was so naive when I moved there. I said things that were like embarrassing and cringy and probably racist without even knowing it, right? Because I'm like, what is that? I don't understand. And people are probably just like, oh my God, what's with this girl? But You know, it was then through understanding and listening to people and having these conversations and being open-minded. Oh, because I want to learn. I don't
Yeah.
want to be just stuck in what I think the world is.
Mhm. That's true. You know, that's the thing. It is the experience. The experiences are real. You know, it's not about belief, right? When it comes to trying to live for real, it really isn't. It's about our it's about us observing and acknowledging the real experiences, and that strengthens us. It really does. It strengthens us in each step that we take. It really does. And I'm myself, I'm speaking from experience because I've learned on my journey, early in my journey, I felt as if I had to push my newfound understanding and wisdom and knowledge that I had gained. I felt as if I had to push that on someone. But it was at that moment that I realized as I grew on the journey that I did not have to do that. The only thing I needed to do was stay focused, stay in my lane, put all of that energy into myself. And that in itself would resonate with anyone around me, right? And they would feel that positive energy. And that is so powerful when you can do that. I mean, even if you have children, if your family members or whoever you have, the thing is, before you give your energy or your love to anyone else, you have to be honest. If you have not given that to yourself, you are giving false energy and false love to what you feel as if you're giving that to. That's false.
Hmm. And there's such a great strength in who you are. And when we're being there's a magnetic aspect to it because you're not going around telling everyone what they need to do,
No, not at
which
all.
is huge in the self-help coach world. And
Yes.
I people are very weary of it now and tired. They're weary and wary because it's like, oh, um, because it's so easy to tell other people what to do. And there was an excitement, right? When we learn something new, we're like, oh, does everyone else know this? I must share it. It's so exciting. And then you feel like I know this now and I want to tell you.
Mhm.
I've been there many times. And then you start to learn like it's not about talking at people or telling everyone else what to
No,
do.
no.
It's about living it for yourself and then you can be that light to others. And you're
Well
very like
said.
you are very magnetic in that. You are very gentle and you guide like you just bring awareness like you always talk about.
Well, I appreciate that. I myself, I like I say, I just come off of the energy that's fed to me. And so for me, and when you are into yourself and when you're into having an understanding of the universe, and I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It really is. And I've become selfish with it, but at the same time, I realize that even though I'm selfish with it, I can't contain it because we're all connected. You see, so I can be so selfish to myself, but that energy, when it's so powerful, we're all connected and we're all vibrating on, the frequency level, and the energy is all there. It's something powerful. It really is. It's movement. And that's what we're all about. We've been stagnant for so long. And so I feel that because the old tactics of being motivated or being inspired, I have nothing against that. Those things worked. But in these moments, in these days, it's time for something else. It's time for us to graduate, so to say. It's now, right? We've been motivated, we've been inspired, but what's next? So now it's on us, and that's my whole thing. I point the finger at, let's say, you, me, myself. I point the finger at myself for anything that I participate in now, because I am wise enough to understand my choices. Now, do I ignore the consequences that may come with a choice? In the past, I did, because I didn't have a true understanding of who I was. But now the choices I make them with confidence. I don't I don't worry about an outcome when I make my choices.
Hmm.
That's just being so focused on yourself and staying focused on the journey, because the journey is inevitable. We are going to forever be learning on the journey. And that's what's so fun. That's what makes this fun. We can never be bored.
Yeah.
Never be bored with ourselves.
Do you ever have people who misunderstand that and say, well, if you're focusing on yourself, then you're being selfish? But like they're seeing it in a negative way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's because, again, they're not attached to themselves. Because when you are focusing on yourself, you're not worried about what someone else is doing with themselves. You're not, because you are focused on yourself. And so it doesn't affect you with what someone else is feeling like or believing like they should be doing for themselves. It's only respected. And that's where it should be. I think any of us, any individual that's breathing, should respect any individual's perspective, regardless, because that's their purpose, that's their journey. We can't feel that journey for anyone. I can't feel your journey for you. You can't feel my journey for me. And that's a lot of times people try to convince other people that they can do that. And that's false. That's false. So when you are into yourself, you don't have to worry about, I don't have to worry about pushing my energy on you. I don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about pushing your energy on me, because it resonates automatically anyway. It's there, and people know that. People understand the energy. You understand the energy. You can see that the sun is orange. I can see that the sun is blue, but that's fine. You give your reason, I give my reason, and we move forward. We grow from that. I've learned something, you've learned something.
Mm.
It's a beautiful thing. That's why I enjoy just living life. You understand? And that's key. Many people do not understand what life is. See, that journey back to self, that allows you to understand what life is. It really does.
And because we make things so complicated, we
Oh
make
yeah.
it harder than it has to be. And while life can be hard because we
Yeah.
go through ups and
Yes.
downs, it's also simple,
Mhm.
but we make it more complicated, and the
Oh
world
yeah.
makes it complicated. And having that awareness, like you're saying, I grew up in a very critical environment, and we were always so concerned with what everyone else was doing.
Mm.
And when I started learning, like, what people would go, why do you care, stuff? I'm like, because they shouldn't do that. Because because the Bible says, or because, my dad said, or whatever, because I say.
Oh yeah.
But then learning, you don't have to be like that. I was like, what? That was just my reality. It releases so much. And when
Yes.
I do get caught up, you do see people doing things, or they did something and it hurt you, but you're like, well, maybe they didn't. Who knows? It doesn't matter, in a sense of, I can release that because I have to come back to myself when I'm so focused on what they're doing, and what, when we go online and we're seeing this person doing this and that, we're taking that focus off of ourselves into somebody else. And
That's
then
right.
we're getting upset and mad and like, I do that to me. I'm like,
Yes.
oh, look what they're doing. Why did they not respond to me? Rah, 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 rah. And I might have every reason to be annoyed. Um, but it's like, well, what am I going to do with it? I'm
Hmm.
just making myself worse, or just getting more upset, and it's affecting me.
Yes. Yes. You're absolutely right. I mean, that's well said as well, because you're adding stress to yourself, right? You're taking your energy away from yourself, and you're adding stress, right? Which can be harmful to, stress can be harmful to us all. And so that's because you're not focused on ourselves at those moments. You feel me? And we're not living in our moments. That's what I often state. When we're so focused on other people or their energy, we're not living in our moments. That's we are taking ourselves away from ourselves that much more because we are so focused on someone else's energy. You know, I learned to always these days accept people's energy. Now I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't ever claim to be perfect. Those words would never come out of my mouth as claiming, putting that title over my head. I'm not perfect at all. And that's the thing. Now, I do chase perfection because we were created perfectly. So for me, I understand that. And that's the beautiful part about the journey, acknowledging things that are so great that you have no control over, like how we were created, the creator, whatever created us, whatever gave us this heart, these eyes, or whatever it was. That's a beautiful thing. And one of the things I always love to talk about is life, right? Life, sitting out in nature, looking at animals, and see, all of that is part of the journey as well, because that in itself allows you to get an understanding as well, because you are living life accordingly with your neighbors, with people, everything around you, life that you are a part of. And many of us are detached from that. And that's why we are in this situation and we live by the conscience of fear. You see, and so that's why I'm just here to raise awareness. The journey back to self allows you to destroy fear. Fear does not exist when you live for real. A child does not come into this world with fear. He comes into this world with curiosity. And from the curiosity, he learns, he grows, he strengthens himself from anything that he may find that he needs to learn a lesson from. I often state to many people the most amazing thing about life is, well, when you are a child, you cannot teach a child how to walk. It's instinct. We
Mm-hmm.
live off instinct because we're living life accordingly. But many of us are not living life accordingly because we are detached from ourselves. And so that's why I am so adamant about bringing this journey back to self. We are all owed that.
It's
We
fascinating
are.
you're talking about fear. I've mentioned this a few times to people as it comes up. Um, so I've enjoyed true crime, as many of
Mm,
us do.
okay.
And what I noticed though, Doobie, and this was a recognition of like knowing myself, listening to my body and going, what's going on? When I used to watch and listen to podcasts, true crime, I was so fearful.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
that I'm that girl that would go out, to the woods and I'm like, what if we find a dead body, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Or we go to a lake. I'm like, what if there's a dead body? Like that was my brain, and people are like, what's wrong with you? Um, but I also had a lot of fear. And when I lived in Toronto, I was constantly, now, you're in the big city, stuff happens, but I was lived in a lot of fear, especially when I first moved there.
Okay.
And it wasn't until people had said, and I grew up Christian, so there was a lot of thou shalt not. Stephanie, you should not watch that. It is evil, blah, blah, blah. That didn't really help me, Doobie. But starting to understand, okay, how is this affecting me? And I had a life coach say to me, well, how, when you're watching so much and you're focused on it, how are you feeling? And I'm like, well, I get really scared and fearful. And like, what if I worry about my own? What if I get murdered? What if this and this and this, right?
Oh, okay.
That's not normal, Doobie. Like, this is not living life. And so it was because of him bringing that to my awareness, I started tapering off. And now I still watch it once in a while, but it's not a lot. And if I do get too caught up in it,
Mhm.
I start to feel within my body like this fear and just uncomfortableness. And that's when I realize, okay, let's step away from that. And I'm
Yeah.
going to go put on something beautiful, like a
Mhm.
music, or go out in nature, or something that lifts me up, something that brings this beautiful positive energy.
Okay.
And that's that recognition, because when I lived like that without knowing it, I didn't know that that's how I was living.
Wow.
Right. And I
Yeah.
remember you mentioned you don't watch TV at all, right?
Nah.
because of the energy from like what you're getting from it.
Entertainment. That's right. That and you know, speaking of that, that's right. That entertainment, it keeps you just you gave a great example of that. Being entertained like that, it keeps the fear based. You feel me? Even though the top part of your consciousness may be handling it well, but the bottom base part is still in a fear mentality because it's entertained, right? The entertainment is there for it. And so, again, we have to overcome that, right? We just keep going, journeying on back to ourselves, and we can conquer that. You know, we will crush it, and that fear will dissolve itself. And that, again, it comes from just even your recognition. That is a great step. That's powerful. One powerful thing in that whole statement you made was you recognize that. So that leaves room for improvement. That leaves room for growth. So you're there. That's important. Many of us have to acknowledge things. Again, it comes from the experiences that we can acknowledge, that we really need to acknowledge, that helps us move forward and keeps us out of that stagnation, that period of being stagnant and not being able to move forward. And that's important. It really is. And so that was well said. I really appreciate you stating that because that's a perfect example of that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're
it
such a
really is.
great encourager. You're always bring lifting people up. And that's another reason why people are drawn to you.
Oh,
Because
well,
you've got this
I
beautiful
tell you.
energy.
Well, I again, it's the energy. I have, for myself, I've been through so much in life. I've experienced so many things. And so, when you've been through so many things, so many negative things, although it's been so many negative things, they do not outweigh my positive things. But it's been enough negative things in my life that has strengthened me to the point that it humbles you. It really does. It humbles you and it allows you to stay focused on yourself. It really does. And I've often stated that, when I'm sitting at the dinner table, I do not want to be the only one there with my head up, right? I want all of us to have our heads up while we're at that dinner table because that means that we are growing as we should in this universe together. We should be. Many of us are relying on groups. When you're in the universe, we're not in a group. We're unified, but it's not a group. It's a difference, big difference.
Oh. Can you expand a little bit on that for people who don't maybe understand?
Sure. Well, many of us have been convinced that we should belong to groups. That's just another avenue of taking you away from yourself. But when you can understand what the universe is all about, and that again is going to, be where you take this journey back to yourself. But the universe is like a book, but it's not a group. Many of us have our own verse. We all have something to say. So we are unified into one verse, but we're not a group, just the universe. The universe is not a group. You understand what I'm saying? It is what it is. It's life. It's us. We are all of that. And that's the understanding that many of us have to understand. That's how we grow. I'm telling you, this is how we have this is how we are able to live life infinitely forever because we have a true understanding of who we are. We really do.
It's
You
we're
know,
all connected. We're all one.
yes, all one. But we all have a verse in under that unity. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's it. That's the beautiful thing about it. We're all journeying with a verse to be unified as we should be.
I love that.
Yes.
And you know what? That really helps so much too when you start to see what I'm giving, what I'm putting out, I'm also receiving back, like the law of attraction, law of vibration type of thing. Because if I'm, and I've had this many times in my life where I'm like, I hate that person, rah, 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 rah. then what am I getting back? And I don't even know it. Hate. And then when you realize we're all connected, and when you give love out to people and you learn to let things go and leave them and like
Mhm.
just not
Yes.
hold
Yes.
on to everything like that, we're it's affecting everyone else around us and in the world.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I agree. And that's the thing. When you can, again, that comes with recognition. And that's beautiful. It's all about recognizing and acknowledging things and not overlooking them and ignoring them. A lot of us live with ignorance. A lot of us are detached from ourselves. A lot of us accept degrees of life. A lot of us are participants in groups. A lot of us live by falseness. A lot of us live by things that lead us astray. A lot of us live with things that keeps us in the pastures. But the thing is, the biggest challenge I feel that the most exciting challenge that I feel for any of us that's breathing is to live for real. That's the biggest challenge. We're not, or we should not be living in a fantasy world or a dream world. We should be living for real. That's life. I mean, that's a beautiful thing about it. And all of us have a different perspective on life. That's what's so beautiful about it. It really is. We should not be in a group trying to say that life is this way when we all have a voice. That's falseness.
Mm.
It really is.
And to be honest, that I've been in many of these different group settings.
Yes, of course. I'm
And
myself.
it it feels culty a lot of times because there is this one way to think. And if you start saying something different or challenging, they're just like, you can't say that, or you're being negative. And it's like, well, maybe I'm bringing awareness to something that needs to have awareness brought to it. Doesn't mean it's negative. And anyways, growing up in I mean, we've all had these experiences, right?
Yes. Yes.
They do studies on this that one person will think that they're wrong because the group is saying this, and one person's right, but because you just want to go with the group. Yeah,
That's the thing.
fascinating.
You it's like a lot of times you're right. You somebody has something to say, but they're too afraid to speak out against what the group's agenda is, right? And that's so amazing. We've accepted these things again because we've been led astray. We're not we're detached from ourselves. You know, when you are living for real, when you are yourself, when you are you, you don't belong to a group. You don't belong. You can't belong to a group. How can you? That means you're giving yourself away, and you're not supposed to do that. Now, again, we can all participate in things. We all have a voice. We all have something to say. That's what's so beautiful about it. As long as you can voice your perspective, that's beautiful. It's beautiful. It really is. And for me, I've learned that when we can allow ourselves to learn from each step, right? We can step. I've learned to no longer run. I no longer run. It's all about walking and experiencing each step for real. Learning a lesson from each step because the left step is different from the right step. There's a different lesson. You understand? Because when you're on your right step, the left step is in the past. You understand? See, so we're moving forward. We're always moving forward. And that's what we have to do. Move forward. Always move forward and learn from the lessons. Be open minded to learning from everything, anybody you speak to. If you're sitting out in nature, learn from the birds, learn from the insects, learn from anything because it's there. There is a lesson. Nothing happens for a reason, nothing is a coincidence. Everything happens because it's supposed to happen accordingly, according to the laws of nature.
Mm.
That's how I live. I really do. I live for real because I understand. I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am, but I do have a very good understanding of who I am. I really do. And that's the beautiful part about it, because I'm always challenging myself to find out who I am. And that's a beautiful thing. It really is. I've gotten spoiled with that, and selfish at the same time. So I really have. Yeah.
And it's starting to slow down, like you're talking about getting into nature and just observing it and learning from it. When I was younger, I didn't really care to be outside. I was more of
Mm,
an inside person.
okay.
And still am, like I don't depends. I don't like the humidity, but when I go outside and I take a walk and I don't even wear my headphones a lot of the time anymore like I used to. I always had to have something to listen to, and now I'm like, no. I'm going to even leave the phone at home. I don't need this extra stuff. And
Oh,
you just start observing, and it's meditative. You're like, I picked up a leaf and I'm like, look at this leaf. And people are
oh
like,
my
it's a
goodness.
leaf. No,
Yes.
but look, it's beautiful. And the sometimes certain people would be like, they don't you because they see it everywhere and they don't think it's that cool. But when we just see the most simplest thing and can find beauty in it, I have noticed that helps me so much in, yeah, getting away from all the extra. And then you do start coming back to yourself because you're just like appreciative, grateful. You're appreciating the things that we've been given that are
Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, nice. You're right. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, who actually can love you better than you? Who can do that? Many of us don't even ask ourselves that question, because we are so detached from ourselves. We are hoping that someone else can give us that love that we are depriving our own selves of. Just imagine if you gave yourself all of that love that you feel as if you're missing, right? If you can just give that love to yourself, what will come to you will be just that. It will be just that.
and
But you
we
have to
get
be patient. Yes.
we get
Patience.
stuck in that when we get into relationships
Mm-hmm.
or we date, right? Oh my God. I still have these moments. Like there's something that happened recently and it was like that validation from somebody else. I was craving it. And when I got taken away, I was like, who am I? I need that. And that
Mm-hmm.
was another thing that came up for me, was recognizing, okay, there was something to learn in that. I'm still needing that validation from another person
Yes.
because I've not been able to give love myself in that way. And we
Yes.
get stuck in there with relationships so often.
Yes. 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 I've often learned that on my journey, I learned that the relationships that I was participating in, I was participating with them, beginning them with lies. They were lies, because I was coming from the concept of 50-50. Okay. 50-50 in a relationship. You start out. So that's automatically a lie right there, because I'm not being truthful to what I'm trying to create, a beautiful relationship. So the beautiful relationship is starting off with a lie. So that's already wrong, because I'm not giving myself 100%. I'm giving 50%. So that's a lie. I've come to understand that when you can give 100% of yourself in a relationship, in the very beginning, it's authentic. And if that energy is there and it's reciprocated, that relationship has a better chance of growing and blossoming into what you felt that it should be. Because the honesty, the warmth, the truthfulness is there. It's no falseness. So if down the road the relationship does not continue as if you wanted it to, you're not as hurt. You're not as destroyed. You feel me? Because you understand that it was there for a lesson. You gave, you gave yourself. It didn't go where you wanted it to go. Okay, that's fine. That was a lesson learned. You keep moving. A lot of times when people in relationships, they are so distraught because it started off with falseness in the beginning anyway. And you
Yeah.
were just hoping that it can turn your lie into the truth. Again, you cannot live life for real off of hope. You can't do that. I've learned that. I've been in those positions, and so I speak from experience when I say that. So it's not like I'm just talking out of my side of my neck, but that's from experience. I've learned that in past relationships. And that's why they didn't last, because I started them with falseness.
Mm, man, that's oh, there's so much in here. When I go back and listen to this and edit and whatnot, or put it together, I'm gonna get even more and more gems out of this. Because when
Uh,
you're having a conversation, then you listen back after if you're able to, there's
mm.
always so much more that
I tell you, that's what this is all about for me. I mean, I love to talk. I love to share energy. I love to learn. I'm open to that. I love to, because again, as I stated, when we speak, it's something, it's a word, it's a sentence, it's a paragraph, it's something that will spark me into even going deeper into wanting to know myself, to get an understanding of myself. I mean, it really, and that's why I love to have these talks. Because I don't claim to know everything. I'm not perfect. I don't want to know everything. That's impossible. That's crazy. So for me, I just go with the flow. I keep it simple. I do realize that life is not simple, but if we live it accordingly, it becomes simple.
yes,
Yes, we
it's
complicate it because we don't allow life, we don't allow ourselves to live life accordingly. So we complicate the hell out of it. We really do.
yeah. And your soul comes here to learn the lessons and gain what it can. And I was when I started learning about that, like why are we here? And thought, oh yeah, I want to get all I can.
Yes.
I want to learn as much about myself and grow in that way
Oh,
while I'm
yes.
here.
Yes. I mean, it does. I mean, it that starts with having an understanding of who your parents were, your grandparents, great grandparents. You get an understanding of who they are, where they come from, what they were about. That strengthens you, right? Because as you get an understanding of that, what they went through, what they are, whatever they were about, it gives you an understanding, right? It gives you a better understanding. But then it strengthens you in your moments. It allows you to gather more knowledge, to be in a better place, to have more knowledge than what they had. Because that's what it's all about. The lessons are supposed to be passed down so that you can always step higher and deeper into where they were. That's what it's all about. A lot of us, we today do not allow ourselves to learn from those passed down lessons because those lessons are not being passed down anymore. We're not listening to them because we're not into ourselves anymore like that, right? We're not into ourselves anymore. Many of us are not into family anymore, and so that's become a problem. So that's why when you journey back to yourself, the journey back to self is the answer and the key to any question and lock that needs to be answered or unlocked. That's it. We've been convinced not to ask questions.
And not to listen because
That's right. That's right.
we pacify ourselves. That's why we're
Yes.
so easily entertained, and that's what I've noticed about my
Yes.
phone, right? I can watch TV on my phone. I can just click on whatever. I don't like how I'm feeling in this moment. I don't know what to do. Oh, I'm going to pacify myself. I'm going to go to something else.
Mm.
And we're seeing that in the younger generations and our generation who get
Oh
suckered into
yes.
that. And that's
Yeah.
why it's that awareness of okay, this thing is a tool.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's not the thing that's going to help us come back to ourselves.
It's a distraction.
It's a
If we
distraction.
if it's a distraction if we allow it to be a distraction, right?
Yes, it's a
But it
beautiful
can be
thing.
a tool as well.
Yes. And it's using these tools for the betterment and not allowing them or having the power over them, not letting them have
Yes.
the power over us.
Oh, well said. Yes. Totally agree.
That's
Totally agree.
amazing. Doobie, this
Yeah.
is so much fun talking with you. I love it. And I could talk to you for hours.
I really appreciate it. I for me myself, I am, I'm talking, I'm listening to you, and as I'm sitting here, I'm telling you, it's energizing, right? It's energizing for me. I know I want to go out and sit out on my patio and just sit out in the nature and just look at the animals come by and whatever they're gonna do. But the thing is, I know I have to leave later, but it's like I really want to just take some moments and do that. I still may do that anyway, but because those are my moments. And when I'm doing that, I don't have any I don't have my phone or anything, my laptop, anything. I don't have any of that those tools with me. It's just me out in nature.
Yeah,
Just me out in nature. And I will say I drink my tea. I do drink my tea when I'm out in nature, and that just invigorates me so much when I'm able to do that. It's like it's awesome. It really is. It's an awesome feeling to be feeling as if you are connected to this universe. It really is a beautiful feeling.
and like you said, it is invigorating and energizes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh man. I mean,
And these conversations energize me. Like I could do this all day.
oh
Um,
my goodness. Yes. Oh man. Oh, that's that's what it's all about.
mhm.
Being able to share the energy and feeling it. You're feeling it, and it's a PS to a letter, but then you keep PSing and PSing and PSing, right? You got to keep talking and keep going. But it's a beautiful feeling. I love it.
It is.
I just feel that if anyone listening can take something away from what we're talking about, because the journey back to self is so important, especially for what we're going through in these days and moments. The journey back to self will allow you to overcome any fear based decision that you may have to make. It will allow you to stay focused on yourself first and foremost.
And this will heal. This is what needs to heal the world because when we have that within ourselves, we know ourselves and we're we have that peace and love, we're able then to go out and bring that to others. Because when we don't have it, we can't give it to others.
Oh no, no, no. And this is where we start. We start with talks like this, little dialogues and things. This is where we start. You got to start somewhere, right? We'll become the itch, and then the itch becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and it starts spreading, and everyone catches on, and that's a beautiful feeling.
It is. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Doobie, thank you so much. I know that you are on TikTok and Instagram. Where else?
Yeah,
Where can people find you?
yeah. Facebook as well.
Facebook. Okay.
Yeah, Facebook. Those are the big three for me.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'll put the
social,
links in the show notes.
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm all about living for real. That's what it's all about. I'm for real. I try my best to live for real. I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect, and I accept that.
Yep. And that's perfectly wonderful because we're not meant to be perfect.
That's right. Not at all.
Do you have any words of anything else you want to add or any other words of wisdom you want to if not, that's fine. You
Well,
just
I will
said
say
a whole lot
this.
of
Yeah.
beautiful
Oh,
things.
thank you. Well, I will say this. If life is living for real, right? It's all about you. You first and foremost. You have many choices. Allow yourself to exploit those choices for real. And let's stop living in a fantasy world.
Mm,
Thank you.
beautiful. Thanks, Doobie.
Oh, I
All
appreciate it.
right. This was wonderful. Thank you so much, guys, for listening and sending love to all of you. Bye.
Take care.